Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Mega Gardevoir. So Mega Gardevoir, of course, the Mega Evolution of Gardevoir, is going to have some better stats, and it works out pretty well. That we go from 80 base speed to 100, and we also get a huge boost in special attack and a little boost in special defense. So that special attack is going to be monstrously useful, and that speed isn't going to put us in like the craziest kind of speed tier, but it is going to give us more outspeeds and be on a bit more of a competitive level at that 100. Also, the little special defense is really nice. Looking at its typing, it is a Psychic Fairy type, so it keeps its same typing as a Gardevoir, and it's still a good typing, that we get really good stab, that we don't have too many weaknesses, and we just have a fair amount of resistances while also being immune to Dragon. So it really works out. Mostly it's just going to be that Fairy typing, because when we hop into Pokemon Showdown, we see that its ability is Pixilate. Pixilate is a godly ability. Any of the abilities that change the typing are really strong, because 30% more damage, and it becomes a fairy type. So if we take a move like Hyper Voice, this gets a 30% boost to power, so it goes up to 117 base power, and it still gets stab. So now, you know, it gets that fairy typing. Gardevoir is a fairy, so then the stab puts it up to over 170 base power. That's going to be a little bit of damage, and by a little bit of damage, I mean a lot, because Gardevoir also has 165 on that special attack. So Modest is going to put you over 470 at level 100. That's a lot of damage. Now also we can kind of look at it for the speed aspect, that if you go Timid, you can get a good amount of damage as well while still having those outspeeds. Just depends on how you want to support it. Now if we go back to Hyper Voice, we can look that Gardevoir, Mega Gardevoir is going to be more of a doubles Pokemon than Gardevoir. That with Hyper Voice hitting both foes, that Hyper Voice is going to have a huge amount of power, good amount of speed, and you have that high damage from your special attack. So that's pretty much why you want to bring it in doubles, which means you can support it with Tailwind, or you can try to have like Icy Wind on the other side of with your other Pokemon, and that way you're just going to try to keep yourself in as good a speed as possible, and it can work out pretty well. Also, if we kind of keep looking down, that you still have Destiny Bond for options. You can go with Protect, and you also have Psyshock. So pretty much you're just going to be looking for like that Hyper Voice open, and then the Destiny Bond to catch your opponent off guard, and it's going to work out really well. You can also kind of look at it from a more offensive standpoint, but with speed and setting up. That you can either use Psych Up stored power, or you can just bring your own Calm Mind, which lets you carry Will-O-Wisp as well. If you have Psych Up, it's just good if you have another ally Pokemon using Calm Mind, Stockpile, any kind of boosting. You Psych that up, you gain the defenses, and then stored power doesn't even matter if you're investing into your special attack or not, because you're going to have so much damage off of that stored power. It doesn't matter. Hyper Voice is still going to hit hard, and again, since it doubles, Protect is pretty good for the mind games, or you can also bring anything else really, like Charge Beam could really help you Psych up some stats. You go into Charge Beam, so that way you're still putting out damage while gaining extra stats on top of that. Or again, we just have Calm Mind. That if you go with the Calm Mind, that you can pretty much hit point investment, 1 point into defense, and then the rest into your speed. You're going to have that good outspeed, and then you can just go Will-O-Wisp, get tanky on the defensive side, high amount of special defense from using your own Calm Mind, and then Hyper Voice. Even at 1 Hyper Voice, you're going to have more damage than Modest. So going with this little bit more speed, a little bit more hit point investment, it can pay off after just 1 turn, and then it'll be very strong from there. So this is kind of like the way that we're looking at Gardevoir from just a double standpoint. That you can, with this high special defense and low defense, can bring a Reflect Pokemon and really put a lot of support into your Gardevoir to make it very strong. That I was also thinking that, you know, with the having the ability Telepathy before you Mega Evolve can be very strong as well. That you have Gardevoir with Telepathy, throw out a Hyper Voice, and then you have a Pokemon like Lickilicky. It just Scarf Explosion. You can bring it with Cloud9. That way you clear weather. You go for that choice Scarf Explosion. Telepathy is going to keep you safe. Hyper Voice is going to chip in a little extra damage to finish off your opponents. You Mega Evolve next turn, you bring in a fresh Pokemon, and that could be the game right there. So that's what we're looking about for like comboing potential, that with that Telepathy you can bring an Earthquake, you can bring something strong, and not have to worry on that first turn, then go into the Mega Evolution to really seal the deal on your opponents. And then we can also kind of look at the other things that Gardevoir gets access to. Energy Ball is good for coverage, Draining Kiss is good for sustain, Pain Split can be a bit frustrating, and Taunt can really shut down your opponents. Now you can incorporate these into a single battle setup, and that's kind of it. But really, I feel it's more doubles, because with singles, you can use regular Gardevoir, you can have leftovers, you can have that Citrus Berry, you can have more sustain in singles, and then that lets you set up. With doubles, you can just kind of come out, use that little bit higher speed, use the extra support, and really destroy your opponents with Mega Gardevoir. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and that's how you use Mega Gardevoir.